Hey guys, I hope this video isn't gonna be so long, but basically today I have two things to say. First of all, what the video is about. It's about taking on your journey to find your art style, so it's mostly about art. And how to do that, and the answer, which is the second part, is just to keep creating. That's it, thank you for coming. Okay, no, but for real, let's get into the details of this. Because I feel like I tell people this really simple, just keep creating. And they don't get it. And they come back and ask, and ask, and ask. So I will give you more information on what I mean when I say just keep creating. Okay, so you don't have a goal, you just started, your Instagram account or Twitter account or YouTube account or Twitch account or anything else. What do? You need followers, right? You need people watching. You just keep creating. You get better by creating. You start getting followers when you create. And the thing about creating that I feel is the most important part is that you understand what you want to do. I mean, of course, you will get better at drawing and whatever. Your skill level will go up. But I think the most important part is that when you're on an art journey and you don't know what to do, if you do everything, eventually you'll find out what you don't like to do and what you do like to do, right? So what kind of things can you try out? So I have a list of things that I'm actually having a little bit of everything myself because I like to participate in a lot of things, and maybe one of these things will inspire you to get creative, all right? So the first thing that you can look at are challenges. There are so many challenges out there. Like every couple of days I see a new challenge and somebody asking who's doing this challenge, and I'm like, well, I just saw 5 others last week, so no, I can't do this one, but I can pick my favorite one, and from there you just pick a challenge and you do it. I think this is also important because it helps you be consistent with creative, because usually a challenge gives you, it's time limit. Sometimes it's like using certain characters or a certain style. So that's gonna be really interesting. The next thing you can do is have a competition, but this is mostly like between your friends. Like I mostly did it between my friends, just like, hey guys, let's run a contest between everybody, and just like I'll raffle off an art piece for the winner, for everybody who participates, right? So let's do like a color prompt, right? Like you can look up any number of art prompts and find something that motivates you to draw. I think the most important part about all of this is that you need to find a community that you're comfortable with, right? Like, I have so many Discords because I like participating in communities, and not just in Discord. I just use that because it's easy to keep chat, like similar to a WhatsApp chat, I guess. But also like in DeviantArt and in other websites, I'm involved in communities, and it's always really nice because sometimes I just gift art, right? If I see somebody's character that I'm like, wow, that is so inspirational, I'm like, okay, I'll give you free art just to practice for myself and to give them art. The next thing you can do, for example, is like draw a comic, right? You can learn about storytelling, you can learn about composition, you can learn how to tell a story in one picture. I think if you can do that, usually professional artists are capable of doing this, and it takes a lot of power to be able to tell a whole story in one picture. So is it supposed to be scary? Is it supposed to be hopeful? What kind of colors are there? And so I remember the last critique that was in this sort of style, I remember telling them, the sky is kind of bland. Maybe you should try putting it nighttime or in the morning time or during sunset to get a different feeling. And it will change the colors in the whole picture basically when you change something like the sky color, and it'll give you a different story basically. So something like that is important. You can practice that sort of thing. If you want to learn more about coloring, I have had colors. Like there's a specific book that's called Color and Light, and if you don't want to read a book, well, or if I haven't convinced you yet that coloring is important, I suggest checking out Marco Bushi on YouTube. And I've decided to put a list of all the artists I follow on YouTube down in the description, so feel free to check that out. What else? So what else can you do to be creative? You can learn about vector layers. I think that's really important. I think Clip Studio Art makes it easier, but just understand at least the difference between a vector layer and a rasterized layer. And you could also do raffles or giveaways. I think that's nice if you want to grow. I don't think it's the most important thing, because remember that you want people to follow you for who you are, for the art you put out there. And if you only do giveaways or raffles, half of the people, at least half of the people who are going to follow you are only there for free stuff. But not just like free stuff, but just for the giveaway, because they're giveaway accounts or such. So they're not actually, so you're not actually having a real watcher, but it's more like an empty account. And even if you grow slowly, you don't want to have 200 followers that don't exist really. They're just giveaway accounts, you know? So think about it, guys, okay? Something else you can do is these draw this in your style. They tend to get a lot of attraction if the person's original piece that you're redrawing like shows your piece of art, right? So you get a lot of followers that follow that person. You could try learning about design, for example, costumes and fashion and historically correct clothes. That is like so deep, because imagine, you know, learning about each country and the history and, you know, each type of clothing. So yeah, really in depth if you wanna go that route. Like I said before, you could also try different styles. For example, the journey of going and finding your style. What does that mean, right? It means basically taking a normal body, normal human, and just making it your own in a way. How do you do this? You could do this by bending anatomy, bending the forms, the shapes. For example, I don't know, if you simplify the human body, it could be a cylinder. What if it was more of a pyramid instead? So you expand a certain way, and I think it makes it look more comedic, right? But I feel like even in anime they do this, like they make the heads just a little bit bigger, the eyes a bit bigger, right? So pushing and pulling the forms in a certain way. I think it's important to learn the basics, right? The anatomy, and learn how to push and pull these forms. Even if you do realistic art, there are still endless types of bodies, endless types of people, I don't know, faces, right? So I think it's important. For example, if you're only interested in doing realistic art, take a look at a face of different kinds of people, like somebody from Asia, somebody from Europe, somebody from Africa, somebody from Australia, and just have a lineup and try to draw each one, right? Because they're gonna be different in the face, okay? You can also like have something in between, right? Something a bit stylistic, doesn't have to be extremely cartoonish. And that's what style is, like finding where on the realistic to cartoonish you are on that line. Style also kind of depends on your brush strokes, how you draw each line. Is it curvy, is it straight, you know? I think it's important to understand that when you draw, you still have to draw with confidence, right? I notice a lot of people sometimes, especially beginners, they draw scratchy lines, and that's because that's not a style. That's just they lack the confidence to draw a line, right? Because the scratchy style, they're not doing it with intention. You know, it's not like they choose to draw a scratchy style. They're just like, well, the line is supposed to be somewhere between all of this nonsense I'm drawing, yeah, it's somewhere in there, good enough, right? So that's what I mean. That's what I mean when I say it's not really a style, it's just not their choice, just how it comes out. And you have to put a little bit more effort into thinking about each decision you take in your own style, right? I think themes are also important in art style. For example, if you only draw dark and scary stuff, or if you only do cutesy stuff, or maybe you do a little bit of everything, but generally I feel like we tend to go towards something more specific, right? For example, I feel like my style is a bit realistic, a bit stylized. I like doing chibis, but it's only because they're easy to draw, right? A realistic style takes me longer. But my shading style is definitely towards realistic. I do feel like I do a little bit of everything, but I do love, like, for example, intricate patterns and all those little things that take a million hours, like flowers or wings. That's my style, right? And there's also, for example, branding, which I feel like that's gonna be a whole nother video. But I hope the thing here, like I said, the video ended at the first couple seconds. These are just ideas to give you to find your creative path, right? Like I use Trello to organize myself, and basically I have one column is what I'm planning to do this month, and then one column is what I want to do in my free time during this weekend. All right, so, and then the rest of the stuff is like, okay, what I gotta plan for the other days, and then maybe I have some goals set up around that. But basically, yeah, I plan myself month to month at the moment, and I keep creating. That's how I like to do things. And if whenever in doubt, just keep creating, and you'll figure things out along the way. Good luck on your journey, guys.